everybody know him, the E46 M3. In most eyes, the one and only M3. That M3 that combines the muscle of an E30 M3 with the elegance and the beauty of an E36 M3. That M3 that was the first who brought the power dome in the game, including the high revving engines and the 4 exhaust system, and also the side air vents. All those things that you still find by all new M4 and M3 brothers. Many guys on YouTube have reviewed these cars. Today we will not take care about the introverted coupe, we will talk about this open-hearted brother. The chassis of the M3 E46 convertible feels like every other convertible chassis. It feels more stiffer. Doesn't matter in which convertible you sit in, you feel when you drive it, it feels more stiffer than his brother, the limousine or the coupe, for example. And so also in this case. And it feels also more quality to me because, I mean, it's a well-known problem by the E46 coupe M3 that the back axle always has a problem and it cracks. For example, by the convertible, this is not a problem that it doesn't have, never, because the convertible chassis is so much more stiffer and better developed, harder developed than this one from the coupe, and you feel it when you still drive it. It feels to me more quality. It is heavier, of course, and you feel it also, but because when you open the roof you have so much other feelings like noises and you're smelling and you hear the engine more intensive than by the coupe. You have always the feeling you're still driving faster, and that's the reason why you also never have the feeling that you are driving really a much heavier car, also not through the corners, because it has also a well-balanced good steering feeling. It has a play if you shake it like this, 1 centimeter on the left and right side, but this is a play that you have by every E46 M3. And I'd also talked to a BMW guy, a specialist, and he said, yeah, that's normal. But the E46 M3, you have always in the beginning a lightly play. But as soon you go over this 1 centimeter left or right, you still immediately have this right good direct steering wheel feeling through the corners. You really can get the right position in the corner always. Doesn't matter how fast you are with the steering wheel. And I mean, don't forget, this car is already 23 years old. It's already on the way to an old timer, but it still have this great feeling at the steering wheel. That feedback that you want to get from a car when you drive it sporty, the feedback about the tarmac, about the cornering, and it's such a precisely car, even by today's standards. Okay, even by today's standards, this is a car that feels right on time. It feels so great to drive, and I'm sure also in 50 years, if we review it again, it will be a wow, you know, how this car drives, how this car feels. And this is a thing that not really many cars can give it to you. decide to drive this car daily, to drive it easy, to cruise it like we do it right now, you will never think what kind of monster this S54 B32 engine under the hood is, because it feels normal. It feels so smooth. It feels so nice to drive daily. It feels like a 325, a regular BMW straight line 6-cylinder. And also the fuel consumption in this case is good. And so you can enjoy really your drive, smoothly driving in a really good cultivated car. But if you decide, for example, you want to drive a little bit more sportier, and you press, for example, the sport button like we do it right now, you start a little bit to feel, all right, this is not a normal engine. This is something special. And the higher you start to revving this engine, the more clear and clear it gets to you. This engine is a racing engine. Woo! Not from the feeling. Hear it, please. You need to hear how great this car sounds. And it doesn't stop to rev it. It feels you can rev him for hours before you need to change the gear. Like we do it now, third gear, it's still revving and revving and revving. I need to stop because there's a corner, but I can still rev it. It's unbelievable. And the sound and the feeling this car gives to you, I cannot explain it to you. You need to drive it to feel it, how great this engine is. This is such an unbelievable engine. You want to know how this monster looks like? I show it to you. Whoa, he's still awake.
One eternity later.
Okay, I think he's asleep, but we need to be quiet. And this is how the beast looks like. And this beast has a name, B54 S32, a completely new engineered engine by the M division at this time, with the same philosophy like his predecessor, the B50 S32, that was performed in the E36 M3. But compared to this predecessor, he has 7% more performance and 50 Newton meters more. And it also revs much higher than his predecessor. The predecessor was revved until 7,400 RPM, and this one revs until 8,000 RPM. Even by modern standards, a high revving engine, and the first high revving engine concept that find his way in an M3 car. This engine is also legendary because he won so many awards over the years.
I think you should tell him he can also be a bitch.
Shut up, you woke him up.
Anyway, let's move on.
And now, for example, you decide to go back to the normal mode, to drive it easy and cultivate it slowly, and like it feels like you change a car. It feels like you change immediately the engine. The car stays the same. You're sitting in the same interior, but it's a different engine. It's somehow schizophrenic, you know? You have two souls in this engine. Depends on how you want to drive it and which mode do you choose. And if you drive it really sporty, I mean, for the end, this car is made to be driving sporty. It feels so much. This engine is a racing engine, an engine with the racing DNA, much racing DNA, just put in a road legal performance car. That's it. Check it out. Ah! Unbelievably fast, unbelievably emotional. This thing comes from another galaxy. This engine comes from a different galaxy. This is something that you can never drive again in another modern car. This is so special. You can start revving it. This is not normal. How great this car is. This engine is unbelievably emotional and fast. It gives you so much pleasure to drive it. Doesn't matter how you decide to drive it. We go back to the normal mode. There we go. and we enjoy it. The nice scenery here in Switzerland, by the nice Swiss passes. Today's a little bit cold, but we still enjoy it because this car gives us so much pleasure. I cannot stop to talk about how great this car is. Even it's already 23 years old. It's still one of the best cars, really one of the best cars. I sign with what I say that I ever driven. When you're driving with the manual gearbox of the M3, it's a nice feeling. So you still drive and you still enjoy the drive. You drive easy, you're cruising, or you drive daily, you go to work, you go to shopping, or you're traveling with the car. It feels right. It feels not special. I mean, it feels the same way like a regular manual gearbox from a 325 or 328 BMW. Feels nothing different. It feels like a normal, up-to-date gearbox at the beginning of the year 2000. So it's nice, but it's not the crispiest one. It's really not the crispiest one. And what it's also not, it's not the precisest one. So when you drive nice, it's a good gear. But if you want to drive sporty, you want to race the car, you need to have a good feeling for this gearbox. Because if you sit in straight line first time in this car and you want to drive it sporty, you will have your trouble because you will miss some gears. But I mean, this is how we know it from the era of this car's beginning of the 2000 year, of the year 2000. And so it's not a big disappointment. But they are absolutely, for example, Japan car gearboxes out there, they are really nicer to shifting. But you still have fun, you enjoy it. After some hours still driving this car, you will develop a feeling for the gearbox and you can start driving faster and changing faster your gears. But as I say, it's not, for example, like the engine. You sit in this car and the engine is a different story when you start to drive this car. An absolute different story compared to all the other normal BMWs. But the gearbox stays, doesn't matter in which condition, if you drive it slowly or if you drive it sporty, it feels like a regular, normal BMW gearbox. drive this car in a sporty way, you feel how well balanced this chassis from the convertible is, how stiff it is, much stiffer than the chassis from the Coupe. It is heavier, but it's so precisely. You can play through the corners, and I really mean play. When I say play, you can play with one hand, get the right position in the corner, get right out. You have such a great confidential feeling about this car, so confident. It feels so confident through the corners. Doesn't matter how fast you drive this car. It is great, it is great. You would not believe that this car is 23 years old. You would not believe how precise everything is still feeling. That's such a great car. Yes, the interior is already a little bit aged, but it's still very quality, a very well done interior with great materials. No really plastic, like for example here by the silver aluminum ones. Everything is real aluminum, you feel it, and that's why it still feels everything so premium even after 23 years. And it's a well balance between sitting in the car and when you open the roof, also this right and good outside feeling that comes to you. For example, if you compare it to the convertible M4, in the M4 you're sitting much more inside than outside, and this here is a 50-50 feeling, and it lets you somehow melt together with the outside, with the street and the car, because also the cockpit is more looking to you than in the middle centered. And that gives you also this right feeling when you're driving this car, because you always have that feeling that you are a part of the car. It feels like you're sitting somewhere at home, because already immediately after 10 minutes you have this right feeling in this car. Really, it feels like you was never driving something else. You was always driving this car. That's how it feels. You're getting so fast and so soon familiar with this whole feedback and interior. What is really great. Also the steering wheel feels great. It is an old steering wheel. You see it from the displacement, but it works great. It is everything. Every button is at his place where it needs to be. It feels good. It's not too great. It's not too great. It's not too big. It's not too small. The quality is good. You really like it to hold it in your hands and to play with it through the corners. It is one of those interiors that you will, doesn't matter how old the car is getting, you will always love to sit again behind the steering wheel and to drive this car, to enjoy the interior and to enjoy the whole car with this great interior. I really love the feeling on the rear axle of this car because it is so stiff. It gives you so much feeling. You feel before the car starts to break out at the rear. Okay, it will break out, so you can already correct the steering wheel. It is much more stiffer than on the Coupe, and that's why you have this good feeling through the corners also. Wow. And it feels so secure. Doesn't matter how fast you're still driving. Woohoo! Such a great car. I mean, it's understandable. It's understandable why the prices for this car get from month to month higher and higher, because that's it, guys. You can never again buy a car like this if you decide to buy a new car. It's now time. It's already too late to get a car like this in your garage, because this is a one thing, you know. This is once you can have it and enjoy it and love it, and never again. No other car is like this one. So that's the reason why this price is getting higher and higher. It's okay, because yeah, this is a thing that is no more available by the new cars. This feeling, these emotions, this sound, how this engine and this car work together, how they feel, it's lovely.